have the models that Ben has put together, kit bash for the Messengers Guild. So we've got you'll have to mention the names again to me. So we've got Editor on the left, the Captain.
No, Snail Mail.
Snail Mail, sorry. So Snail Mail with the hat, and then we've got me, Semaphore, with the flag. So we're gonna put a rage hat on him. So I'll give you a clip of that after. Then we've got the Mascot, which is based on Ben Data Table, the big gluttonous robot. Then we have Straw and Parker.
Get a close up on
So here we have Straw that looks like Straw with his little goatee, and then we have Gimp Mask and Flasher Parker. So there you go, guys. We've also got Bill and Jamie, two other characters, Jamie Giblin from Steamforge News and Bill from Guild Ball Tonight. So we will discuss them on a later episode, and we'll probably have all the other models built by then too. So we are back. You'll have seen the models that I'll have gone through. So we'll discuss them in turn. So you've actually built 7 at the moment. So how many do we have in total? So let's start from the beginning. Let's rewind. So we have some stat cards. So Ben has come up with the Messengers Guild. So another unofficial new guild, the 8th guild, the 9th, 10th guild, the 10th guild, whatever, of Guild Ball. So Ben has based these around some prominent social media people. Yep. I don't want to say too much at this stage. You will have seen I have very briefly reviewed them on one of my hobby blogs, and if you watch the Battle Hammer, they've actually played a game with them. But we'll go through them in turn. So do you want to fire away with the stats to start with, all the stat cards? Let's say.
Yep. Right. So well, first up, I've got Snail Mail. I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, it'll be up on the screen now. You've got a PDF version.
You're going to do that, yeah. Right, so Snail Mail first is one of the 2 captain options that we've got in the team. I built them to be like a full team up to Season 2 release.
Standard,
at this stage, I suppose. So they've got 2 captains.
And a mascot.
1 mascot and 8 players, I think.
Yeah, okay. So we've got Snail Mail.
So Snail Mail is one of the captains, and this is based on Phil Bowen from Guild Ball Tonight.
Great.
And so my line of thinking was with the captains was that I should have one who was a real kind of superstar and one who was a kind of more support character.
Yeah.
And so Snail Mail is the support captain.
Yep.
He's got a move of 4/6, so he's pretty slow. Which, you know, we've had comments about his Texas drawl, I think, on the
podcast.
On the podcast. So I kind of, that's, you know, I've picked up on cheeky little themes and references and things like that from what we get on these things. So he's a 4/6 move. He's got 6 tack, a 3/6 kick, defense 3, armor 2. So
take a bit of a beating.
Yeah, and he's 5/7 influence.
Wow.
So he's
bettered only by Obulus.
Yeah. So he's kind of Obulus-like in his ability to generate influence. Yeah, not quite the sort of the beat stick that Obulus can be.
So he's on a 40mm base.
Yep.
And a 1-inch melee.
Yep.
So that's kind of fitting with the stats being more slow.
Mm-hmm.
So I quite like that. So do you want to do his playbook next?
Yep, okay. So on his first column, he's got a non-momentous Guild Ball icon, which triggers mark target, or a 1-inch momentous push.
Yeah, his second column, he's got 1 damage, non-momentous, and a 2-inch momentous push. So he looks like he's all about the pushes.
Yeah.
Momentous pushes. So he's a bit of a brewer.
Yeah,
in that regard, I guess.
Yeah. I think the theme that I took for deciding whether what to make momentous on the cards is that it had to be pushes or dodges.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what the momentum was fed on. If it was a push or dodge with something else, then that quite often got it as well. So
which kind of fits in with with the Messengers, that sort of feel of sort of dancing, darting about, and
yeah.
Even for the big fatties who are the captains. So third column then.
So third column, he's got a non-momentous knockdown or a momentous push dodge.
Great. And then his fourth column, he has a double Guild Ball symbol, which triggers commanding aura. So we'll discuss these character plays in a minute.
And then on his to fifth column. He's got a tackle or 3 damage, neither of which is momentous.
And on his last column, he has 3 momentous damage and a 2-inch push. So again, the push is getting the momentum.
Yeah.
So 6 tack and 6 columns. So that's pretty. Yeah.
So fairly standard.
Yeah.
It's slow to get up to the damage. But it is there. It's weird actually.
No 2 damage.
There's no 2 damage. Yeah, I don't know if that's just a kind of an oversight, and maybe there should be 1 there. I don't know. But
so his character plays then. So for 1 influence or 1 guild ball, a range of 8 inches is marked target. So friendly models who make a charge against the affected model gain +2 to the charge movement, basically, and they can only use it once per turn. So again, fitting in with a support style, buffing other models.
Yeah, it
range.
helps people get people in. So he's just got a range of different buffs for different things. So he's got a speed buff in marked target. The next one there is kind of commanding aura, which is the combat buff.
You'll all know and love from Blackheart and Tapper.
And Tapper, yeah. And then finally, he's got one, and this is, I tried to kind of come up with something, 1 or 2 new things for each player.
Yeah.
And so I went for slow and methodical. And the basic idea, it says that the play reads, this model may fortify... This model may... It actually says that as well, and it should say this. This model may forfeit its advance to make a 4-inch dodge, and that costs 1 influence.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea behind that is, well, he's only a 4/6 move, but
gets him out of engagement.
It gets him, he can. Yeah. So it stops him being fast, but it enables him to kind of move around. So it's like, like Obulus has got that 2-inch shadow and that really kind of helps get him out of trouble at the start of an activation.
And I quite like that, because you could quite easily have just given him where they go, but that would kind of defeat the object of the player, because you'd then have an 8-inch move.
It'd be too fast, so I could have given him shadow-like as well.
Yeah.
But, but then he just becomes too Obulus-like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a way of keeping him slow, which was kind of part of the theme of the character.
Yeah.
That, he's not somebody who kind of gets around, he's somebody who kind of hangs back and supports the team. And but, you can't. It's difficult to pin down.
And it's good, you get him out of tricky situations, get through rough ground, or get out of somebody's melee without a parting blow, things like that. So that's pretty cool. And then he has 19 hitboxes.
Yep.
So back onto the back or front, depending on which way you look at it. So his character traits, he has close control. So once per turn, this model may ignore the first playbook tackle result against it. So good at keeping the ball.
Yep.
And his next one,
sturdy.
He's sturdy, so he ignores the first knockdown. So a bit like Corsair.
Corsair, yeah. Corsair was probably the starting point in the concept of this character. Brilliant. Let's have someone similar to Corsair with the pushes and things. And
he has both a heroic and a legendary play.
Yeah, and this one's, I suppose, probably more closely related to Esther's type ability, and Esther's heroic
and again, I love the naming is taken from being around the media group, the social media group. So this heroic play is called Spoilers. So once per turn, choose a model within 6, and they gain one of the following effects: errata buff. Target friendly model gains +2 tack, +2/+1 kick, or +1 armor. So that's giving your own models a bit of a buff.
Yeah.
Or an errata nerf. So if you're opposite Gutter, you could give an errata nerf. Target enemy model suffers -2 tack, -2/-2 kick, or -1 armor. So that's fantastic. So you can choose that heroic play every single turn, whether you buff one of your own models in any sort of form, or nerf one of your opponent's models. So that's fantastic. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and so the idea was similar to Esther's. Esther's ability, in that she's got 3 different buffs, hasn't she?
She has.
So it's a little bit more flexible, but I think those buffs are all a little bit lesser than Esther's. Because Esther's gives defense rather than armor.
It does, and it gives damage rather than tack.
Yeah.
And it gives move rather than kick. So I see that. That's good.
Maybe the kick one's better. I don't know, but yeah.
+2/+1 kick's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Give that to Mist.
Yeah.
I know. Well, we'll come on to this discussion at the end about Union players. Legendary play. So it's called Major Spoilers. So this model may use spoilers 3 times without spending momentum. So again, a bit like Esther's.
Yeah.
So you can massively buff your team, you can massively nerf the other team, or you can do a bit of both.
Yeah, except that it's named, so you have to do it to 3 separate players.
Okay.
You can't.
You can't.
It's not like
models.
Esther, because the way Esther's works is each different buff has got a different name.
Yeah,
so you can stack all 3 of them on
true.
one player.
Okay, I see
with
that,
this one, and that's another kind of part of the balance to it as well. That because it's got that more flexibility in that it does the buffs and the nerfs, was to make it a bit more restrictive in the fact that you can't stack things up on the same player.
Brilliant. So central midfielder, so you kind of seen him as playing in the middle of the pitch, which makes sense. Yeah. Fantastic. So the model, do you have the model yet for Snail Mail?
Yeah, this is one of the ones I've done.
Snail Mail here. So again, you'll see this in a close-up afterwards. So he's got a bit of a trumpet and a nice big hat and a feather. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Nice kind of beard like the man himself as well.
So next one we have...
So this is the second captain now.
So the second captain we've got called Editor. And this is based on...
So this one's based on Steve Newton. So I kind of thought... It was a difficult one. I think Phil Bowen is very obviously the first captain.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who started podcasting before
it's
the
the
game
first
was even out.
podcast we ever listened to, most of us. So.
Yeah. So who was to be the second one was a bit of a kind of a tough shout.
To me, it makes sense. You're looking for a superstar captain. Yeah. Who's ranked UK #1?
Yeah, that's it. That was exactly it. It came down to I'm going for that superstar. Well, who's actually good at playing the game as well. And Steve Newton, if you've seen the rankings, is right up there at #1 and has been for
a long time.
A long time.
So he's 30 mil base, so he's on a smaller base, and he's got a 2-inch melee. Yeah, that's nice already from the start.
Yeah.
So his stats: move 6'8",
attack 7,
kick 2'6",
defense 4 up,
armor 1,
and 4/5 influence.
So doesn't generate as much influence for the team, or can take as much influence as Snail Mail can. But a bit more nippy, high attack, and can move about a little bit more. And with his 2-inch melee, has a bigger reach. So again, it kind of fits in line a little bit with the sort of superstar. He's going to be wanting to do a lot of the action in the turn.
Yep.
Brilliant. So we'll move on to his playbook.
So first column, he's got 1 damage, non-momentous, and a 1-inch dodge.
And his second column is 2 damage and a push dodge, momentous push dodge.
Third column, knock down and tackle, neither of which is momentous.
Fourth column, 2 damage, momentous 2 damage, and a push dodge.
Fifth column, 3 damage non-momentous, and a momentous guild ball, which triggers his new ability called Rough Cut, which we'll explain later.
His sixth column is 3 momentous damage and a push dodge, so he's liking his momentous push dodges. And then his last column
is 4 non-momentous damage, so he's got a big heavy hit there at the end.
He does. So yeah, his again fitting in with what you said at the start, with all of the sort of dodges and pushes being the momentous stuff, just to fit in with the theme of the guild. So yeah, I like that. Again, seven columns for his 7 attack. That's good, and can get those 4 damages if he really does get up there.
Yeah.
So we move on to his character plays. Rough Cut. This is his new ability.
Yeah. So this is he's always kind of complaining on the podcast about having to edit Chris Rutter, isn't he? So I thought, well, let's kind of give him something. That's why he's called the editor, and that's why he's got this ability. He's kind of an editing phase. You know, the rough cut is the cut of something that you do to get an idea of what it's going to be like. So anyway, so rough cut. It's a single guild ball ability, range P, no zone, no sustain. All enemy models within this model's melee zone suffer a 2-inch push directly away, 2 damage, and the bleed condition.
Wow.
So it's like a souped up scything blow.
It is.
Or a mini unmasking.
Unmasking, yes.
Yeah.
So that's nice. So with his 2-inch melee, he can potentially engage a few people if he charges in, give them a bit of a push away, 2 damage and bleed. So quite handy at the end of the turn, I would imagine, before they get a chance to heal them all.
Yeah, and it's momentous as well. It's, you know, he's quite limited, quite deliberately really, in his momentous damage causing plays, and he's got
because of that.
And you have to get up to the 4th, 5th, and 6th column to get momentous damage results out of him. So if you want to do damage, you need to have things set up for him, and that's kind of a nice ability to reward you for getting all of that set up going. And that's like his signature play, really.
Nice. And then his next one is called Precision Play. So again, this is a new.
Yeah, I want him to be like a mini obulus. So he's got like a mini obulus ability. So this one, it costs 2. I was umming and ahhing whether it should be 2 or 3 with this one. It's got a range of 6 inches, so it's cheaper than Obulus's play. But it's not got the range, and it's not got the same
results
range of things that it does.
Yeah.
But it's a similar sort of thing to Puppet Master.
So target model immediately makes a jog without spending influence. If the target model is an enemy model, it counts as friendly during this action. This play can only be used once per turn, so it's
Puppet Master that's only just the jog, basically.
That's pretty cool. And he has 16 hitboxes, so not quite as tough as Snail Mail, but you would expect that.
Yep.
And then onto the back, onto his character traits. So he has unpredictable movement. So again, a bit like Obulus with his 2-inch melee. Mm-hmm. It's going to be quite hard to tie him down unless you set things up properly. And next one, he's got Shove the Boot in.
Shove the Boot in to really sort of let him get that damage in.
So again, this pairs quite well with his lower end damage that's not momentous. So at least you get a bit of extra damage with it instead of generating that momentum.
Yeah, he's got knockdown on 3rd column as well, so he can.
So he can knock him down himself
knock you down. Yeah. So good roll on a charge. He might get that 3rd column on the wrap, so he can knock down and do one of the big hits. And then when they're on the floor and he's not getting the big,
you can start doing 2, 3, 4 bits of damage.
Nice.
And then he has a legendary play called Friend of the Show, which I love because if you've ever listened to his podcast, you will see why. But it's got a 6-inch aura. While within this aura, friendly models gain +0/+2 move and +1 damage to playbook damage results and close control. So a buff to while within all friendly models. So they get a buff to their charge, they get a buff to damage, and then they also get close control. So a bit of a all singing, all dancing legendary play for anybody within 6. So it could be used on a variety of different occasions. If you've got somebody susceptible to getting tackled, you can pop it up. Wanting to just put out that extra bit of damage, or just the range if you've been tied down with burning or with rough ground or anything, just to get out of stuff. Fantastic again. So you can see the difference there between the support and the all singing, all dancing captain.
Yeah, I think I noticed as I was designing these, I've kind of realised since hearing an interview with Rich Loxham that there was a similar process that they go through where they
start them up really powerful.
Start them up powerful and then knock things off it. So I think Snail Mail seems about right to me. I don't know, but I think the editor is perhaps got a bit much to him, and maybe something could be needs to be knocked off him. I don't know, but.
Yeah,
I think there's an element there with that kind of, it's a really good play, but the momentum's not there on those low results, so it's difficult to generate those momentum.
Yeah, if I the first thing I would probably tweak with Snail Mail. I think he's pretty good with both his heroic and his legendary. I may be tempted to drop his legendary, so he's just got a heroic because he can use it every turn anyway.
Yeah,
and that would be very, very powerful on a turn.
Yeah.
And then, the editor, again, he seems quite powerful when you first read him, but it will take a bit of setup. Maybe he has one thing too many. Maybe things like unpredictable movement he maybe could lose, or the melee range he could lose. But the melee's good because it fits in with his character play, and that's the whole point.
Character play is kind of important to the idea,
So we'll run out of time if we keep going through in this much detail. So they're the first 2 captains. They're the most important guys of the team, so we touch on them in the most detail. No model yet for that, though.
Shall we focus on ones we got the
So
models
we'll focus on the models,
okay.
And then we'll do that.
Right, well, let's do this guy next.
Who's this fella? This guy? There's a gentleman here, a very handsome gentleman from the artwork, it looks like, called Semaphore. So give us the story behind him.
Well, Semaphore is based on the man here next to me. So the idea was, I was kind of messing around with kind of names that would sound a bit messenger-like, but also kind of had something to do with the kind of the character and the kind of thing that stands out to me most about you is probably that you're very tall and quite thin. So I had kind of like things like flagpole and things like that as the name originally. So then I settled on Semaphore, which is actually the kind of the flag-based messaging system.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll go through. So size 30mm base. I'm surprised you didn't put me on a 20mm or a 10mm base.
They don't have them. If Greed's on a 30mm, then the ball's on a 30mm.
Yeah, okay. The 2-inch melee, so it makes sense with the reach. So you want to go through the movement. 7'9".
7'9". Attack 4.
Kick 4'8".
Defense 5+.
Armor 0.
And influence 2/4.
So straight away from looking at that, it looks to me like the sort of main goal-scoring threat of the team.
Yeah, that's it. He is the team's. I think this is the only striker. I think possibly. Check this guy.
So so I'm the kind of the striker of the team, the one that gets all the headlines, wins all the VPs, scores all the goals, gets all the girls. No. So fast 7'9". I'm liking that. Small attack. So you imagine mist flint style low tack. A big ass kick 4'8", and relatively hard to hit. Defense 5+, but no armor.
Yeah, he's very light mist.
So I can't argue with that. So his playbook, he has the dreaded momentous tackle on 1. So Mist has got the nerf, but not Semaphore.
Yeah, I think this is quite possibly. He won't have it, but I think this is quite possibly the character that needs the most nerfing out of any of them in there. I think there's just too much on him, I think. Anyway, so momentous tackle on 1 damage, or a 1-inch momentous dodge on 2.
A momentous push dodge on 3.
And then 2 damage, or his double guild ball special play, which is 1,000 cuts on 4.
So great, yeah, I do. I think the thing I like the most about Midas is his momentous push dodge. So I'm quite pleased that I've got one as well. I love doing that, just moving other models about whilst you're moving somewhere as well. Just dragging people along with you, and especially with my 2-inch melee, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So character plays, super shot. So as well as my base 4'8", it can go up to 5'10", just like Angel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. I like that.
You've got Snail Mail as well.
Oh yeah, and with Snail Mail's heroic, who can give me +2/+1 kick, I could potentially be 7'11". So yeah, I'm definitely not broken. And then my second character play is 1,000 cuts. Target model suffers -2 defense and 1 damage, and it's a 6-inch range. So I can either spend 3 influence for it or get 4 hits. So again, that's a bit of a debuff, a bit of an anti-buff to the rest of the team if I'm not scoring goals.
Yeah, it's just giving something else to do if a goal's not in the works. And it just kind of fit. I thought, if you think about martial arts films, the people who kind of fight with little flags and fans and things like that, kind of fits with that kind of style, I think.
That's cool.
Okay.
And 12 wounds. So yeah, with armor, with light. 5, and yeah, I get hit and I go down.
Yeah,
so.
light if you can get over that 5 defense.
Character traits. So he's protected by broadcast. So we've not touched on broadcast yet, but we don't have the models, but we will touch on him next, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because of the channel. So broadcast is J. Fellow Guild Ball Informer J. If I'm within 4 inches of J, this model gains +1 armor. So I do become a little more survivable.
Yeah.
If I just stick near J.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because that's what it's like in real life. Any of the bullies I just send to J. And then I have Shadow-like. So at the start of my activation, I get a 2-inch dodge. So as well as being 7'9",
he's Shadow-like as well.
And then
there's a bit much on him, isn't there? I mean, if you think about it though, if you add it all up in terms of kind of threat range, he's...
Yeah, we discussed this before, didn't we?
Yeah, he's 7'9" with Shadow-like, so he's got 11-inch move.
Yeah.
And then he's got, he's not got where to go, which a lot of the top strikers have.
Yeah.
So
even with super shot, that's if he
puts on his super shot, he's 21. So he's got mist and flint are 22-inch ranges.
Yeah.
So he's not quite there in terms of that overall threat. And I like that position of him in terms of his overall threat. I think what perhaps is there's a bit much on him in terms of other stuff, so maybe his kick should come down to 3.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Maybe his defense up to 6. And then his last character trait is the one that you've tried to theme. And you want to go through that one?
Right. So this is cool. I mean, I had this character built, and it was a case of, right, I've got that there. I think they're about right, maybe a little bit powerful, but you know, they're a really good striker. Okay, really good at scoring goals, but I didn't have anything that was kind of themed on it, so I had to kind of come up with something. And so, well, what I thought was, well, you know, there's the kind of the jokes on the Who Cares Who Wins podcast was saying about you in that dungeon.
In the dungeon,
that video.
So this one's called Escape the Dungeon.
Okay, and the text is, once per turn, this model may use give and go without spending momentum. Okay, so that gives him that 4-inch dodge.
So this is the one where if Semaphore himself passes the ball, he can then make a dodge.
Yeah. So it gives him that dodge, and it gives him the chance to kind of go in, tackle somebody, pick up the ball.
Yeah. Pass it off
and then if he's not in a scoring position himself, he can pass it to somebody else who is, and still just kind of give himself that little bit of safety. But it doesn't add that 4 inches to his threat range because it's after he's got rid of the ball.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. And I do like the name. So brilliant. So that one's based on me. So pretty pleased with that. As we've said, could probably do with a little bit of a tweak.
Yeah, there's 2 things I think he needs. I think the kick needs to go down to 3 dice. Yep. So that he's 4 dice with super shot, which everybody apart from Angel is, isn't it?
Yep.
So he's like Flint then, isn't he? He's 4-6. 4-10 when he puts on the super shot.
Yep.
And I also think what would be quite a nice kind of fluffy one for him to have as a character trait would be Maverick.
Yeah, and that ties in with Snail Mail not being able to super buff him as well.
Yeah, so he can't kind of get all the big super buffs. He'll still get the protective from broadcast.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a bit of fun.
I see that.
I think it kind of fits. I think it makes him a bit more interesting as a player. That you know, it's a bit more of a kind of a lone wolf type of thing. Which
brilliant. So we'll touch on broadcast next. So we have the model for this as well.
No, this is one I've not done broadcast.
We've got the model for Semaphore. Sorry. Yeah. Before we touch, we'll pop with a flag. So we have a hat coming. We have a rage hat coming to go on him. So that's Semaphore for you. So broadcast quickly. The next one is Jay.
Okay.
So no model for that one, but size 30mm base and a 1-inch melee. Move of 5/7.
Attack 5.
Kick 3/6.
Defense 4.
Armor 1.
And 2/4 influence.
So a relatively standard set of stats. Mm-hmm. Good amount of attack. Fairly decent kick. Looks quite like a Union. Union model, defense 4, armor 1, as they all seem to be.
Yeah.
Fairly mobile, decent kick. So yeah, that's nothing out of the ordinary there, but that's good. So moving on to his playbook, he has on his first column 1 damage and a guild ball, a non-momentous guild ball, and that triggers singled out. Like Mallet or Avison Greed. Of course, yes, it had to be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Jay loves Avison Greed, so that was my kind of thinking. Let's give him a playbook similar to Avarice, basically. So he's got on his second column he's got 2 damage or a momentous 2-inch push.
And his third column he's got a tackle or a knockdown, and neither of which are momentous.
And then fourth column, 3 damage and a 1-inch push,
and
which is momentous.
Final 5th column is 4 damage and a momentous push as well. Mm-hmm. So both are high-end damages. He can get up to 4, which is brutal with a 5 tack, and momentous and some pushes again. So he likes pushing people around, just like the real Jay. Yeah, and Avarice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Avarice, not Jay. Yeah. So his character plays.
He's got Swift Stance, which is like Boiler's ability to pass out +1 defence to somebody friendly model within 4 inches.
So I quite like that if he gives it to me every turn.
Except not if you get Maverick.
Oh no, not if I get Maverick. Oh damn it. Okay. And we touched on singled out, so +2 tack against target model. You need to put enemy model. Oh yeah, you can't attack your friends anyway. And he has 19 hitboxes, so a lot more survivable.
Very tanky.
Yeah. And onto the back, his character traits. So he has, coupling with Semaphore's protected broadcast, he has attack support Semaphore. So while within 4 of Semaphore, he gains +2 attack. So again, another thing to try and bring that playstyle together so that they're running around together. They're both getting buffs if they're near each other.
Yeah, that was it. But also it plays a bit kind of counter to the roles. So there's a kind of a balance issue there.
Yes.
That these two, they're really helping each other out, but actually he wants to be in the middle of the ruck and he wants to be nowhere near the middle of the ruck. So there's a kind of there's a
decision to make for the player, for the coach of the team, controlling these two. It's I really like that. It's like on a turn you can either go down one route or the other.
Yeah, you could use Semaphore for his 1,000 cuts and for his attack support, hanging him around behind broadcast and let broadcast kind of go to town, extra attack, singling people out, pushing him around, knocking him over, getting some big damage hits in, or you can.
Let Semaphore do what Semaphore does and score goals and run off on his own. Yeah. But then I guess at least if you can do run in and tackle the ball and then get his escape the dungeon to give and go to then dodge back into broadcaster's range to get his defence. So that's pretty cool. And his last themed one is called
Thanks for watching.
So once per turn, target friendly other non-captain guild model within 8 is allocated 1 influence. Wow, so he can every turn give. So a bit, well, not quite as good, but a bit like Bag of Coffers.
Yes, it's like Bag of Coffers. It doesn't have the dice, and it's an allocation rather than a gain. So it's not doing. And this is what the Battle Hammer got wrong. One of the things they got wrong, I think,
did they put Semaphore above his?
Yeah, they put Semaphore up to 5.
But it is an 8-inch range, so it's got quite a lot of capabilities. Yeah. So I like that. So that's me and Jay. So I honestly think broadcast is good. I don't think I would change anything really.
Yeah, I think he seems fairly balanced. I just worry perhaps a little bit about him having 4 damage. Very few characters have 4 damage. Very few players with 4 damage, I think, in the game. I think probably Boar and Rage are the only 2 normal level players that have got a 4 damage in the playbook.
Yeah.
So maybe that needs to be like 3 and a double push instead.
Or maybe you could bring his move down a little as well. Potentially 4-6, just so he's not quite as mobile. Yeah. But he's good. So
he's a good sort of supporty, fighty character, isn't he? He gets in there, he knocks people around, but a lot of what he's doing is also kind of supporting the rest of the team through the kind of single outs and through the attention that he's going to attract.
So let's pick. We are running out of time, guys. So we'll have to do the mascot. And then I think we should also do these 2.
Right, okay.
We can come back if you like this, guys. Comment in the video below, and we will come back and do the rest of the characters.
Finish the team off.
But next we have the one and only data table. So this is based on Ben himself. So creator of the team and creator of the ranking system needs to be in this scheme, and very cleverly made yourself the one and only mascot.
This is what people have said to me. I say, I noticed you made yourself the mascot, so everybody has to play it. That wasn't what my thinking was. My thinking was, right, if I make anybody else the mascot,
they'll be
they'll be annoyed. Why am I the mascot? So I made myself the mascot. Now everybody's annoyed because I'm the one that's always going to be played. So yeah, but I mean, I did it.
We're only joking. We love it. You've got to be in there every time anyway. So you're the pivotal core behind this team. So 40mm base, so quite big for a mascot, and a 1-inch melee.
Yep.
So
he's a season 2 style mascot with the the large base, and he does stuff himself rather than
buffing others.
But rather than just kind of buffing the rest of the team.
So move 5-7,
attack 3,
kick 1-4,
defense 3,
armor 1.
And influence 1-2.
So pretty standard. Defense 3.
He's a bit on the low side.
Quite vulnerable there.
Yes, but when you look at what's on the other side of the card, you'll see
why. So he has a 3-column playbook matching his attack. So the first column is 1 damage and a momentous push. So again, fitting in with the theme.
Yep. And second column is 2 damage or a momentous push dodge.
And his third column is a tackle or triggers his guild ball, which is intensify. So we've seen this before.
Yeah.
So like with Flask, I'll touch on those character play then. So intensify. Enemy models that are suffering conditions and are within the pulse suffer 2 damage, and it's a 3-inch pulse. So he can either trigger that for 1 influence, or he can just do it from 3 hits on his playbook. So with knockdowns maybe flying about, and bleed, I think, was it one of the captains?
Yeah, Editor's got bleed.
Editor's got that bleed character play, so that could come in handy there.
Yep, I think there's
a few more in there
dirty knives and other stuff knocking around.
And then his special character play
is rankings analysis, so which I've recently done a kind of a blog post on the website, so you can check that out as well. So, you know, rankings analysis, it's a kind of a buff thing. It's like a souped up, tooled up basically. It costs 2. It's got a 4-inch range. Other friendly models gain +1 attack and +1 damage to playbook damage results against the target non-captain enemy model. This character play may only be used once per turn.
So commanding aura, but you pick a model to put it on to make, so when they're hitting that model.
Yeah.
So that's great. Cost 2, which is good. So it's going to kind of be the only thing you're doing in that turn if you can only have 2 influence. So yeah, I really like that. And a 4-inch range, so you've got to get quite up and personal to somebody to do it to them.
Yeah.
Which probably will result in you dying yourself.
But it really helps you just kind of pile everything in on that one person, no matter where they go. You know, because things like commanding aura. You know, you've used Tapper, you've got your commanding aura. Well, you just go away from him and go somewhere else, can't you? So it's a bit more a case of, you know, if you really want to hunt somebody down, that's the ability to do.
Brilliant, yeah, and it fits ranking analysis, so I quite like the name for it. It works. So on to the back.
Well, wounds first. 8, is it?
Oh yeah, 8 wounds.
8 wounds.
So
no icy sponge tokens because he's a mascot.
Well, yeah, we'll die if he gets hit.
Yeah.
However, on the back, character trait. He has gluttonous mass. So the only mascot with gluttonous mass. 40mm base kind of suits it though. I think you've been a bit harsh on yourself there, if I'm honest. But
well, you can't take the mickey out yourself here, can you? Take the mickey out?
It's true. So he ignores
I've taken the mickey out a lot of people.
So he's got no friends after this video goes out. But so gluttonous mass. The first time each turn this model is hit by an enemy attack or character play, the target ignores that, and it's been changed. So while advancing, except while advancing.
I think I did them before that errata. Yeah.
So yeah, and then his next one,
Noxious Death, which is what the other fatty's got, isn't it? Compound.
Yes.
So this is a 3-inch pulse, and when this model suffers the taken out condition during the activation phase, all models within the pulse suffer 3 damage and the poison condition.
So again, another way of putting out a condition.
Getting some conditions in.
Although he can't use Intensify if he's dead.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's just kind of.
It's nice though, yeah. So there's a bit of bleed, there's a bit of poison.
Yeah.
So.
I have irritable bowel, so that.
So there you go. Yeah, you get a bit of Ben's intestines in your face if you kill him. So there you go, lovely. So that's data table. That's the mascot. So we'll touch on 1/2 more before we wrap up. So these are based on the Battle Hammer guys. So Straw and
Which is
Parker.
also why the cards are kind of in an orange colour as well.
So who are we going to go with first?
Well, we'll do Postal first because that's the big guy here.
So the sort of orky ogre kind of looking.
Get a close up on when you do the thing. Get a close up on his face,
on his actual goatee,
because that
is
head
actually
looks just like Straw.
That is actually Straw's face. So here, Postal. So 40mm base and a 1-inch melee.
He's got move 5/7,
attack 6,
kick 2/6,
defense 3,
armor 0,
and influence 1/3. So like a big guy.
Yep.
Generates 1 influence. Relatively easy to hit and no armor, and a good amount of attack. And his playbook, he has 2, 4, 6 columns on his playbook matching his attack.
Yeah, there's very few kind of brewer-like ones in the team. So first column, he's got a non-momentous knockdown and a momentous 1 damage and 1-inch push. So
fantastic for getting those early knockdowns on your playbook. So he's the big guy that goes in and knocks people down, a la Fangtooth. So his second column is 2 damage and a momentous 2-inch push. Yeah, so early pushes, early knockdowns, shove people around, knock them down, etc, etc. On his third, he's got a tackle as well. So he's got good feet for a big man. Yeah. And on his fourth column, he has 3 momentous damage and a 1-inch push. On his
Fifth column, he's got his double guild ball character play, no momentous, which is concussion, and he's got 3 damage and a 2-inch push, which is momentous.
And then on his last 6th column, he has another 4 momentous. So yeah, maybe Jay needs a nerf. There's a few too many 4.
There's 2 4s in there. So
he's got 4 momentous damage and a 1-inch push. So again, all about the pushes. Momentous column on every column apart from the 3rd one.
Yep.
And concussion is his character play. So target model loses 1 influence. So again, he's good for going in early, knocking them down, and taking all the influence off them, so they can't do anything.
Nice big 23.
Wow.
23 hit points.
23 hitboxes, so that's nice. And then we go on to his back. So character traits. He has Crucial Artery, so as well as doing momentous damage, he also does bleed. So every time he damages a model, he causes bleed. So that's very nice.
And he's got Detach Hack, which is the other character. So this is the Avarice and Greed
of the messengers,
ability.
So during the maintenance phase, before influence is generated, the named model may be placed on the pitch in base contact with the model. If this model is in possession of the ball, the more ball token can be moved into possession of Hack. So basically, you can detach Hack during the maintenance phase of any turn. And then his last character trait is Rising Anger. So the first time this model is damaged by an enemy model, each turn the friendly team gains 2 momentum. So like Rage, like
Gast,
like Harry the Hat. If you want to go and have a go at Postal, you're going to be giving the messengers some momentum.
Yep.
Which is very nice. So he also has a heroic. So the first heroic we've seen outside of the captains.
Okay. And his heroic is Ahoy Hoy.
Fantastic.
You get the accent right.
You get Taxi.
Right, once per turn per team, while the name model is not on the pitch and has not been taken out, or is within 4 inches of this model and the name model can recover 2 hit points and remove all conditions currently on them.
Very nice.
So if he's attached, or if he's not dead,
and
he's nearby, you can heal up both of them together.
Brilliant. So there's a bit of access there to healing, but only on those 2 models themselves.
Yeah,
can't
so they
do it out to other people. So they
ahoy,
run around together. Ahoy hoy! Here's a beer. Get some healing done. And he's down as a centre back, so you've kind of seen him sort of towards the back of the pitch.
Yeah, he's he's very much a kind of Avarice or like Gast and players like that.
Yeah, no, that looks.
He soaks at the damage, but he's got 22 hit points, but he's not got 23 hit points. Sorry, which is a lot. But he's not got any additional defensive things.
No armour, no gluttonous mass, no none of that.
Defense 3. So
he would.
Fairly easy to hit. But
so you get a tapper going in on him, he'll die.
Yeah,
that's good. And then his partner in crime is Hack, so based on Parker. Size 30mm base, and he has a 1-inch melee.
He's move 4/5,
attack 4,
kick 3/4,
defense 4+,
armor 1,
and influence 1/2.
So very like Greed.
Yeah. And he has a very big long playbook, so I can see where this is going. So he has momentous damage on 1 hit, 1 momentous damage, and a 1-inch dodge.
Yep, he's got 2 non-momentous damage on the 2nd column.
On the 3rd column, he's got a momentous push dodge.
On the 4th column, he's got 3 non-momentous damage or a momentous guild ball, which is where they go. So again, it's a dodge, so it's momentous.
Yeah, that makes sense. And on this 5th column, he can knock somebody down. So little Hack with a bit of a right swing can actually knock somebody down. So that's quite
nice.
Picks
up a foot.
Yeah. And he also has a momentous 3 damage and a 1-inch dodge.
Next column, he's got 4 damage, and this is 6, isn't it? I think we're up to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Column 6, he's got 4 damage and 3 damage with a momentous push dodge.
And on his last column, he can tackle somebody non-momentously if he so chooses, and that is the only option available. But, probably going to pick something else. So his character plays we've mentioned already. Where'd they go on 4 hits? So you can either spend 1 influence or get 4 hits on your playbook, which is momentous, and he gets to do a 4-inch dodge.
And he's got Dirty Knives as well, so he can, for 2 influence, he can chuck out a Dirty Knife, which the target model suffers -1 defense, 1 damage, and the poison condition. That's got 6-inch range.
But he only has 5 wounds, so
very easy.
Very easy to kill if you can manage to get hold of him. So flipping the card over, so he.
There's a lot on the back.
So there's a big long back. So the first one, you'll be surprised to hear, is actually Furious. So this model may charge without spending influence. So like Rage, he has the ability to do stuff with no influence. So that is fantastic. Yeah.
He's also got Crazy. So once per activation, this model may suffer 3 damage, taking him to 2, to gain +3 attack. For the remainder of the activation.
So we see now why he has a 7-column playbook, is for this extra Crazy to make him go up to that. So off the charge, after going Crazy, he can get 11 dice without any crowding out or ganging up, which is awesome, and for free. Because he can charge for free, which is amazing. And he also has anatomical precision. So I think Hack's going to be getting a bit of a nerf as well.
He's a bit too good. Yeah.
Anatomical precision, so he ignores.
I don't know. I kind of think he's a bit of a trap, though.
If I'm honest,
because he's only 5 hit points. He's got all these kind of good things that makes you think, I want to go and kill somebody with him.
I think that actually is really the better you make him, the more likely people are to throw him in, and then he's going to die. And it's wicked. He can have one quick hurrah of trying to take somebody out, and then just gets absolutely annihilated. I agree. Okay, I like that. So a pseudo that's amazing.
Yeah. So he's got benched and attach, just like Greed has.
Yeah.
And then he's got the same ahoy heroic play, except this one says Postal rather than Hack. So, but again, it's got the once per turn per team, so you
can't do both.
You can't do it twice.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he's down as a winger and surprisingly as an animal.
An animal. Yeah, well, Greed's an animal, so.
And so is Parker. So, so there you go, guys. We will leave it there. We've got the models for this, so we'll do a quick zoom round at the end to show you these. So Parker, especially, I'm loving that he's got his bit of a flash of anorak,
and a gimp mask.
So
and when I posted that on Twitter today, Parker tweeted me back and said, "You know me so well."
Yes.
So, yeah.
So thank you so much for that. I hope you guys have found that an entertaining episode. We have another 4 to do, so we will do a version 2. Perhaps maybe when the first versions get errated, we can come back with an errata video too. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we'll have to leave it there. But first bit of the video for the Sensible Tournament talk, so get your tickets bought for that.
Yes.
And then second one, a bit of a laugh. We're going to get some. Hopefully, we'll get some filmed games in for the channel with the messengers. So we'll come back
for that.
Come back with those, see what they're like against all the other guilds in the game, and hopefully Steamforge will make it a reality. Season 3. Let's see the messengers. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe. I've been Chris, and this has been Ben. And we would probably join you next time with Jay at some point. But like I said, he's in America enjoying himself.
Jay says.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching,
guys. See you next time. Cheers.